A few months have passed since my encounter with the very odd game. I haven't picked it up since switching it off and on, and I soon forgot about it. I left it under my bed in a small box of games, not playing until one Friday afternoon when my mother was cleaning my room. I had just gotten back from college and went up to my room to see her moving the box from under my bed and placing it on top. "Sorry, dear, I won't be too long," she said as she continued to clean my room. I took the box and gave my mother a hug before going downstairs, grabbing my DS Lite on the way. I threw myself onto the sofa and opened the small box to find a bundle of different games, but which one should I play? I looked around the box until I saw a small green game card hidden under the other games. It was that weird Pokemon game that I hadn't played in so long. Last I remember, I was stuck at the Pokemon Tower, but still, I was eager to play the game just for old times. Upon going to the title screen, I found that there was a new save file named Sorrow, which had a game time of 10 minutes. From what I remember, the last file was called Leaf, but whatever. Selecting the file, I am taken into the game. I'm no longer stuck at the Pokemon Tower, but rather, I am in a school building facing the eastern wall. In the top corner says the map's name, which is Neglect. Also, a ghost is stood at the blackboard. I want to see if I still had that Eevee named Loneliness, but he is nowhere to be found. I have a bayonet named Unwanted at level 18. The sprite of the bayonet is missing its arms. Its right eye is a black void, and there is a trail of blood coming from its left eye. It also appears to be frowning with a modest nature. Its moveset is Curse and Grudge, except Grudge is fresh out of moves. Oh yes. It also has the ability Drizzle, which means it can summon rain when it is entered into a battle. After examining the bayonet, I speak to the ghost, and an Eevee cry is heard. The ghost says, "Where did Loneliness go?" I exit the house, and I am taken to a fairly large area with a gate surrounding it, and 3 ghosts stood outside the gate to the north, all staring at the house that I had just exited. The grass is red like before, and I find 3 signposts and another house, along with one of those people you see walking around the Pokemon Tower, just wandering about. I interact with the signpost, which is to the left of the house that I had just exited from. The signpost says, "He brought Leaf here." I go to the signpost, which is directly right from the house, and that one says, "Trainer tips. It was my only choice. I had to. I just had to." And the final signpost? That one is south of the house, and it says, Trainer tips. She left me as well? Before approaching the final signpost, I decide to talk to the person. She said, loneliness, and I am giving a yes or no answer. I didn't quite follow what she meant, so I chose no. And she says, don't lie. I try again, this time selecting yes, and she says, why did you? Okay. So from what I gather, Leaf also neglected this Eevee, just as Blue did. I explore the second house to find that I am in a Pokemon Center, with a fog in effect. Behind the counter is a Mew and a ghost, both of them saying nothing. At the stairs leading to the top floor is the male trainer Red. I walked my character over to him, and he says, I don't know you. What? We had met in Lavendertown. Maybe he was saying that because Leaf abandoned Eevee as well. I go up the stairs, and I am teleported to Route 22, right outside the gate. It is raining, and the grass is red like earlier. This map's title is Look, and the music changes back to the abandoned mansion theme. I try entering the League building, except the doors won't budge. So I chose a path that would lead me to Viridian City. While following the path, I pass a signpost. Once again, upon interacting with the signpost, I hear that Eevee cry as the text displays the words, Raticate died. He still doesn't notice me. The wall, which you can normally hop over, is changed to a gate, and on the other side of the gate spells the word Look. I continue around the path until I get to an area where I cannot pass due to some gates blocking the way. On the other side of the gate, there appears to be another word formation. This time, it just has the letter E. Just a little north of here is a small door in a cliffside where I am able to enter. I'm taken to a room. The tiles spell out another letter E. So, that's 2 E's I've seen so far. To the north side of the room, I see Professor Oak. I try walking past him, but he stops me and says, loneliness isn't the only one. E, 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 and sends me back. I walk back to the room where I entered and exit where I am warped off the cliff to a cave named Loneliness. By the looks of things, I am in the northwest part of Mount Moon. The music ends to silence, and the cave is filled with a fog. I walk south, where I find a signpost, and just like the previous signposts, I hear an Eevee cry as I interact with it. I feel so unwanted. says the signpost. I continue walking south, where I met with Blue, and he says he was nothing but a curse. The screen fades to black and fades back in, and Blue is nowhere to be seen. I chose to explore the cave a little bit, walking eastward where I had found Blue before. Suddenly the room changes, as if I exited through a ladder. From what I gather, I am in the lower part of the cave, with a large pathway shaped like a C. As I walk around the path, I find a third letter E written on the ground. I head towards the end of the path, to where I find a waiting ladder. Climbing up it, I exit out of the cave into a route with a single pathway heading east, similar to the first path in the game. I am surrounded by an endless cave wall instead of gates. The music begins to play as I notice it is the Lavendertown theme once more. There is a signpost here, and I can interact with it. I can hear the Eevee cry as a text appears on the screen saying, "I'm not a curse." Towards the end of the path, I find a single patch of grass. As soon as I step into that grass, I'm engaged in a battle. A level 10 Eevee scrolls in, but instead of it saying, "A wild Eevee appeared," it says, "Loneliness looks sad." I send out my level 18 Banette, and Drizzle is activated. Since the Banette is fresh out of Grudge, I have no choice but to use Curse. Unwanted used Curse. Unwanted wants Wild Loneliness to suffer. Wild Loneliness used Grudge. Wild Loneliness is bearing its emotions. Rain continues to fall. Wild Loneliness is feeling agonizing pain. I have no other attacks I can use except for Curse, and the battle continues until Loneliness finally faints from the curse. Except it doesn't say that he had fainted. Rather, it says, "Wild Loneliness has died." My Banette gains some EXP, and I am sent back to the overworld. This time it is raining, and the map's name is Suffer, but there is no music playing, and the grass patch is missing. There is a door in the wall above me, and the overworld spread of my character has changed. Her body is completely white, and her eyes are red, with red markings on her hands. I checked my trainer card to see if her sprite matches that of the overworld. I checked my Pokemon to see that I still have the Banette, but its HP is back at full, and the curse is back up to 10 of 10. Grudge, on the other hand, is still empty. I go through the door and I appear outside Lavendertown's Pokemon Tower. It is still raining, and the barriers have changed from wooden ones to white ones. They are also closer, leaving me with less space to explore. The Pokemon Tower's door is missing, and the music kicks in as the Pokemon Tower theme. I notice 4 signposts beside the tower in order. I read each one of them from top to bottom, and their text is as follows. Why didn't you listen to me? Now you're cursed. You could have saved us both. Do you regret? I remembered the signpost before the battle with loneliness that said, I'm not a curse. And the ones before that continued to label loneliness as a bad curse. This led me to believe that it was loneliness who was speaking through the signposts. Outside the barrier are 3 ghosts, and when I explore the houses, there is no one in them. However, in the last house I check, which is the one most southwest, I find that there are tiles, white with E written in the floor in green. Also, there is a cubone stood on the letter E. I approach the cubone and interact with it. It says, 4th letter E. I exit the house and I appear back in the bedroom from the start of the game, except the bed is missing and there's a letter V on the floor. I interact with the TV and it says the following. E E V E E. Put the E where it belongs. 4 E's and a V. Of course, it's spelt out Evie. I head downstairs, and the only thing in the room is another TV. I interact with it, and it says, you no longer exist. You have no purpose. But maybe you can ask for forgiveness. I leave the house, and I am in Town. There is another change to the overworld sprite, as I am nothing but 2 red eyes and a red mouth. Stood in front of me, looking up at me, are red and blue. I first decided to check if my trainer card had changed. 4 minutes of gameplay, no sprite, and the name had changed from Sorrow to Look. I then check my party to see I have a faceless level 10 Eevee named Put to Rest. Its nature is modest, and it only knows one move, Guillotine. I speak to Red, and he says, where is Leaf? Where is Loneliness? What's this? Right away I notice the word Loneliness had its missing letter E placed back into it. I then speak to Blue, and he says, Leaf got the brunt of my curse. It's all my fault. Just below him is a signpost, which I can interact with. As I do, I hear an Eevee cry, followed by this text. Loneliness was put to rest. R.I.P. As soon as R.I.P. appears on the screen, The credit music from Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald plays, and I am locked into the text, unable to leave it. The music would play until the end, and once it did, I am sent right back to the start of the game, where I have a level 10 Eevee named Loneliness. I understand the story now. But do you?